All right, today we're going to dive into a super powerful framework from psychotherapy called Note, Know, Choose. It's this really cool blend of ancient Buddhist wisdom and modern counseling that gives you a simple but seriously practical guide for training your own mind.
So let me just ask you something. You ever have one of those moments where there's this huge, frustrating gap between how you think things are supposed to be and how they actually are? That feeling, right? That friction is exactly what we're digging into today.
And this is where it gets really good. This one quote offers a massive diagnosis for so much of our daily frustration. The big idea is this: our suffering doesn't really come from our problems, it comes from the clash between what we want and what we get. So let's break that down. We're calling it the expectation gap. This is the core problem, you know? It's the thing that the whole note, know, choose model is designed to fix. It's where all that mental static comes from. Think of it like a tug of war in your head. In one corner, you've got what should be. That's your ideal world, right? It's driven by all your hopes and desires. And in the other corner, you've got what is, which is, messy, unpredictable reality that doesn't really care about our plans. So what do? We try to bend or ignore what's really happening, but that's just a band-aid that usually makes things worse. Now, here's a really key difference from a lot of Western psychology. In this way of thinking, what is, or just reality, is basically defined by three core truths. First, that challenges are just part of the deal. Second, that our idea of a fixed, solid self is kind of an illusion. And third, that absolutely everything is always changing. Just getting on board with this foundation is a huge step. But the whole framework goes even deeper. It suggests there's a more fundamental reason we suffer. And it puts it in a pretty bold way. It's not just a bad habit we have, it's an addiction.
Yeah, this quote totally nails it. I know, ontological experience of self sounds super academic, right? But all it really means is our deep, deep attachment to a fixed idea of me. It's that belief in a solid, unchanging person who has all these needs and expectations that just have to be met. This model says we are basically hooked on that feeling of self.
And this addiction isn't just a random thing. It follows this clear, repeating cycle. It all starts with a craving, that feeling that something's missing. Then we start clinging to the idea of getting it, like our happiness totally depends on it. And finally, we build this whole fortress of expectations around it. So when reality inevitably doesn't deliver, the cycle just kicks off all over again, making that addiction even stronger.
Okay, so if that's the problem, this expectation gap that's fueled by an addiction to self, then what's the solution? Well, this is where the Note, Know, Choose model steps into the spotlight as a really practical plan of action. And listen, Note, Know, Choose is way more than just another mindfulness trick. It's a whole therapeutic system. It takes this profound ancient wisdom and packages it into a structured modern tool that you can actually use to make a real-world change.
All right, so how do you actually do it? Let's get into the how-to. You can think of NAC as a simple workout for your mind, broken down into 3 phases that you just practice over and over again. The beauty of this is how simple it is to remember. You learn to note your mental habits, know why they're causing you grief, and then you get to choose a more skillful way to respond. It's all about going from reacting on autopilot to taking conscious action. So let's start with step 1. Note. This part is all about awareness. It's just the practice of getting better at observing your mind's patterns without judging them. A thought pops up, a feeling, an urge, and you don't fight it. You just note that it's there. Next up is step 2. Know. This is the insight phase, where the light bulb goes on. Once you start just noting your mental habits, you can begin to connect the dots. You get this clear understanding of how a specific expectation is the direct cause of your frustration. It's that big aha moment. And finally, we get to the most empowering step of all: choose. See, once you can note a pattern and know its consequences, you create this tiny little gap in time. And in that gap, you're not on autopilot anymore. You have a moment of genuine freedom to intentionally pick a healthier response, instead of just getting dragged down the same old road. So what's the whole point of all this? What's the end game? Well, it's not about trying to reach some perfect state of bliss where you have no problems. It's about something way more practical and sustainable than that. And that brings us to the real goal here: cultivating a skillful mind. This isn't about trying to empty your mind or get rid of all your desires. It's about becoming a skilled navigator of your own inner world. So instead of being tossed around by every storm, you learn how to relate to your thoughts with wisdom and steer with a bit more grace.
So, to wrap this all up, I want to leave you with a little challenge, something you can start doing immediately. Just for today, what is one recurring thought or expectation, just one mental habit, that you could try to simply note when it shows up? Give it a shot.